Hey guys, the topic of today's video, we're going to be talking about what's been happening with Call of Duty recently. It's funny, I go away for a few days and I come back, and there is a pre-order MW4 option in the ports, along with this whole SBMM debacle that's happening on X. So we have a lot to discuss. Without wasting any more time, let's just get right into it, starting with the pre-order MW4 option being added in. Now, this did happen while I wasn't uploading. The second I realized it happened, I wasn't surprised, but I was just disappointed because if you can just take the time they applied to putting that in the game and then take the time, let's say, they put into putting in that setting to remove the emblems, the setting to hide the emblems. If you take that time and apply it to, I don't know, maybe adding a dead zone setting for controller, do you know how much of a difference that would make for the average user in their everyday experience on the ports? That is something that needed to be looked at, and rather than doing that, they're trying to plug the new gen game, which, I get it. I get it. These are 15-year-old games, 16-year-old games, but I was expecting Activision to indirectly ruin the experience, right? Maybe neglect it because they do want to put more attention to MW4, but taking the time to plug your new game on a 15-year-old game that you just tried to bait for nostalgia, but it turns out it's the only game that people have fun on, that is something that is just indicating to me that Activision still hasn't learned. They're not going to adjust. It's just maybe whenever we hurt their bottom line, they might look again to do this in the future, whether it be they create a new Black Ops game and then they want to port over a Modern Warfare or they want to port over Rolled Out War. That is something I feel like now they're going to keep an ace up their sleeve every time the fans hurt their wallet on the current games. But it turns out we're going to transition into something here talking about SBMM because I don't think a lot of players are actually playing Black Ops 7, and I think that's why whatever data they presented for SBMM, it's skewed automatically. We're talking about people who are above average, and we're talking about casuals. There's no middle ground, but the game is designed to keep you at a 1 KD. So all of Activision's data, I think, is actually fundamentally flawed because their algorithm doesn't actually permit them to see accurate data. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're going to get into that, segue into our next topic here, because we have a huge debacle coming from the Call of Duty account itself. And the reason why this is a complete debacle is because I've never seen Call of Duty tweet out something at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to justify or explain what they said earlier. So the first post is a long thread, such a long thread, but the funny thing is that every post has a community note. Essentially, every single one of their posts has a community note saying this data is misleading, it's flawed, it doesn't actually represent what is happening, or better yet, contradicts their own claims in the SBMM white paper that was released a while back. And this just reminds me of the Ashton Williams situation. If nobody knows what I'm talking about, 6 or 7 years ago, the community manager for Call of Duty, when MW 2019 came out, she made a post saying she was taking notes, she was taking patch notes for an overhaul update, and then all of a sudden, Joe Setgott came out on X, same platform where she claimed that she was taking notes for the update and said there is no update, there is no overhaul. Enjoy this weekend with some, XP or something, and then it was a cringe like bye. He just said bye. And that not only showed a conflict in the structure of the Activision employees, but it also showed that nobody was on the same page. Nobody was on the same page. And this feels like it has snowballed all the way down to these SBMM tweets coming out from the Call of Duty account itself. It's a great indication, a great example on how Call of Duty just needs to go back to simplifying things. We don't need algorithms. We don't need all of this data. It's a fucking video game, not a venture capitalist firm. We don't need all of this fucking data regarding this algorithm and players quitting and this and that. Let me just put the tweets up for you so you could just get some context on what I'm talking about. immediately in their first post, immediate community note regarding the contradiction from their first claim that reduced SBMM hurts retention on the white paper, but then they still proceed to do it with B07, with the open matchmaking and then classic matchmaking, whichever matchmaking has the similarity to the classic one. But it turns out reduced SBMM doesn't hurt player retention. Your bad game hurts player retention. A simple, plain dog shit game will hurt player retention. It's not your algorithm. Stop blaming the algorithm. The algorithm is something you made. It's a part of the game. People hate the game because the algorithm is a part of it, along with a multitude of other issues. Let's just keep getting right into it. This has got to be one of the worst ones here because they actually said, I don't know if this is gaslighting or pure stupidity, but they said that the search times for games are actually down. And if you show a side-by-side comparison, this was happening before the ports dropped, by the way. People were going into the classic Call of Duties, whether it be a Modern Warfare, Black Ops, even World at War. World at War with 62 players online just in Team Deathmatch. You can find a game quicker in those classic titles. Compare it to BO7. BO7 average search time is like 2 to 3 minutes. And a classic Call of Duty with only 60 players online, you get in with a matter of 5 seconds. That is something that has always been a comparison people have made, especially in the past year, and then they have the nerve to gaslight the community saying that search times are down. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The disingenuous comments, the gaslighting, it's so over the top at this point. I can't stand when Activision does this, and all of the people who do it too alongside them. I just can't stand it. Here we have another community note. This one is not as egregious, but it is saying that the stat is misleading because of the actual in-game limitations. Once again, they're trying to prove a point that's not really there or exist, and it's just flawed. Now, this last post in this thread is where I have the biggest gripe, because people who do this, whether it be Activision or the Ghost of Hope, anybody who says this, it could be the SBMM guy on that podcast who says SBMM has always been a part of Call of Duty, that is just either being purely disingenuous or gaslighting at its finest. We are talking about the algorithm that has been boosted on steroids, starting with MW 2019 and forward, comparing the peer-to-peer connection and the team balancing of back then to what is in the game today. I mean, once again, you're either trying to gaslight or you're being disingenuous or you're just straight up dumb. Pick your route. That's what the options are. And it got so bad that they had to put this out at 1 o'clock in the morning. It got so bad, their last post came at 1 a.m. saying, "We asked for feedback and you gave it to us." Once again, gaslighting because the feedback falls on tone deaf ears. And the only thing they actually got right was they said matchmaking isn't just data, it's also a feeling. That's why it needs to be simplified. It's too complicated, it's too much, it doesn't need to be in a video game. Just simplify it. And that's my take. I'd love to know what you guys think down below. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next one. I'm going to upload the class edit video this weekend. Sorry for taking a break. Peace out.